Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today I wanted to show you guys how I usually go about improving as we try to figure out things to improve on. So every once in a while, typically after I'm tilted or a little frustrated with the game, or I just want to find things to get, better at because I'm bored, I will do this because typically, the best way, in my opinion, to avoid tilt or frustration in the game is to always have a goal, or something to kind of work on and improve at. And typically the way I'll go about finding things to improve at is obviously watching my own games or watching other people play the game. And then the main goal of any review session is to find something to improve on in the early game and something to improve on in the mid to late game. Because the way that I would approach improvement, the way I do approach improvement, is trying to improve at one thing at a time, maybe two things at a time. And if I am going to improve at multiple things at a time, I want them to apply in different parts of the game. So normally, if I'm coaching someone, I'll give them 10 to 15 points to work on because I'm coaching them and they're paying me for their or for my time. So I need to, get them as much value out of their money as possible. But when it comes to improving as your own individual person, watching back your own games or watching other people play and trying to learn from them, you only really need to find one or two things to work on. And then once you figure out, how you've improved on those, you just go to the next. And so I have about like 7 or 8 mage games pulled up, like the tabs pulled up here. And we're pretty much just going to watch them and see what the small things are I can improve on. Because I certainly do believe that I'm very good at mages. I mean, I've climbed, rank 1 solo queue playing mages as some of my most played champions. So I definitely am pretty confident with them. So there's going to be more small things that I'm looking to improve on. Already here when I'm watching back my game, this is something that I'm aware of and that I just made the mistake of here, but I don't wait for him to go for this last hit before I try to poke him. So if you can see here, this guy's not yet going up for the last hit, and I immediately use my second ability, despite him walking back. So that's like a problem that I can see, and maybe something we'll see if it's a pattern. Using my spells when the enemy aren't going to walk up for last hits, making me miss a bit more than I needed to. And then here he used a cooldown, and then I see, and then I'm still walking back. I'm not going as much for the autos in lane, even though he did put himself in a position where I could have definitely gotten an extra auto attack in and traded a bit better. And then there's this Rengar player in Legendary ranked, and he invades every single game. He takes Ignite, he takes no flash, he invades every game. And so I had this guy on my team, so I knew I needed to have prio, which is one reason I was trying to auto attack more and get prio, because this guy just invades, which I think is pretty funny and, maybe not ideal, but he does it, and so we have to play around it. But either way, so far here, main things I'm seeing in the early game, I should have a couple times, there were multiple times where Syndra ended up putting herself in a position where she wasted an ability, and I could have walked up and auto attacked a bit more, taken a bit more advantage of that, and that's the first thing I'm kind of seeing. And so I'm kind of at this point skipping through, seeing if I can find much else here. I missed my ultimate. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. I just suck at Wild Rift, but we'll see if there's anything here, as well. I think this is all fine in terms of how we approach this. Yeah, like everything here is fine. I'm just going to show you guys the missed ultimate again to show you guys how much, I suck at Wild Rift. But that to me, yeah, so far, I really just think the only mistake in this lane phase is mostly just punishing. Last hits, that mistake, and then the getting more autos in lane. And so what I typically do here when I'm trying to improve on something, I'll go right out in my notes section. Here's the notes from someone I was coaching before, but I'll just write myself here. And so the first thing I'm kind of noticing is punish enemy cooldowns in lanes harder. Sorry, it cut out for a second there, but yeah, punish enemy cooldowns in lane harder with auto attacks. That's kind of one of the main things I think that I should have been doing in this lane phase. And so that's probably the thing I'm really going to focus on mainly there. I pulled up the wrong thing there, but yeah. So that's probably the main thing I'm going to focus on here. I mean, we'll see what else we see in our lane phase. And so for now, we see that first lane phase. We see really the auto attacking thing was the main kind of issue for me, and so I'm going to pull up the next tab of the next game and again look through auto or through the early game. So we're just going to continue doing this, and then we'll look through late game after this, after we see a couple more times. So again, I want to see, is there an opportunity for me to potentially look for more autos in this lane? Is there a time where she uses cooldowns? So Annie's a bit of a different champion because of the fact that she gets a reset on her first ability if she last hits a minion. So like here, she has her first ability, she can reset it, and so maybe a bit, different there, where here she actually did miss her first ability. I think I could have walked up harder to auto there because she missed her first ability, and that would have been a possibility to trade there. Here I back off because she gets to level 2 before me. But yeah, there was one time already here where she missed her first ability, like she didn't get the reset from it, and I think I could have punished her harder with an extra auto. And then maybe I can even look more often for these like all-ins, like these harder trades. Because when I play mages in lane currently, I never lose lane, and I also never get kills in lane. Like what happens pretty much every mage lane, I'll get a little gold lead because I have the first strike, I have my runes that naturally give me gold. I find my proper mana boots recall, and that's that. And it's super consistent. I'm able to climb really well with it. It's super good because these champions, they want to do that. But there are these times where she just, you know, for example, there, I think I did a good job of punishing with multiple autos here. But I think I could have even looked harder, yeah. And here I'm looking pretty hard. But I think I just need to be taking a bit more space in this lane. Because like if we just look at it, like this is a pretty small thing. Like I think I do a good job. She ends up wasting her first ability, and then I take the autos here. But notice how I'm still kiting backwards like I'm a little scared. I'm at 1 minute and 19 seconds here. Jungle's probably not going to gank me. It'd be pretty surprising. I could be taking way more space here currently. Like for example, I could be standing here. You see I walk back. I should be walking forward. She should be the one who has to walk back. And then she'd be very punished. And the other thing I could do here is I could try to just pressure her off so that she loses the minion. But I think losing the minion is not what's important here. I think what's important here is making her so low she has to recall, so that I can get a really free back here for me. So I think, yeah, again, I could have just been a bit more aggressive with these autos. I don't think it's a huge thing because, again, this specific time, I traded pretty well with autos, but I didn't still do it, you know, optimally. And I should also look at enemy jungle for deciding on this, because if I'm thinking then about it, if I'm trading more aggressively in lane, I'm taking more auto trades, that type of thing, then I'm probably also going to find myself in a position where the enemy jungle will gank me more often. And so then I have to think about the enemy jungle. And Ambessa, for example, not going to gank me that hard until level 5. When does a champion get level 5? Typically around 2-ish minutes, because that's when they can do full clear plus scuttle. And if you're able to get a full clear plus scuttle, you can probably get level, or you will get level 5. And usually that's going to be around 2 minutes that they're able to do that. And so I had this window where I could have traded even harder. So even here again, notice how the window where I'm going to get ganked is coming up. It's like 30 seconds away. I want to get a recall off before that. I want my mana boots. I'm about to hit mana boots. And here, I think I could definitely have, again, just focus more on trading with her and then getting the wave pushed after. So like here, I could have, again, instead of walking back after she hit that first ability, I should have walked up forward and traded with more autos. Here again, I should just be autoing and trading. You see how I'm kiting back? I'm being kind of scared. I should be walking up into the minions, literally just trading as much as possible because of the fact that I'm going to recall anyways. So like, what do I care if I take some extra damage? I'm going to recall because I want to recall for mana boots. Like, I don't care. So there's no reason for me to be full health here. I should be half health, but getting her lower so that she loses more, she feels more needed to recall, that type of thing. And that gives me that additional carry potential. So I think I'm seeing in both of these lane phases, again, we're playing fine. I'm playing consistent. It's working out well, but sometimes I'm not going to be able to carry those games that are really hard to carry. Like this game actually was a game where our team kind of like mega ran it down. And I was almost in a position to carry despite the team doing very, very bad in the early game and the game going very poorly. And maybe if I have, you know, these additional power spikes, I win this lane a bit harder, I can do that. And then when we're looking at now, like this, you know, next 3 minutes, now so we're at 3 minutes in the game, we have like this next 2 minutes. Again, I could be walking up more aggressive to auto her, because right now, for example, she doesn't have her stun up. I could have walked for an auto here. Like I'm level 6, she's level 5, so she has less armor, which means, you know, my autos will do more damage. Orianna or auto naturally do more damage because of the passive, and I'm up a level, so I have more AP, so my abilities do more. And I'm kiting back. My Lee Sin's even here, so like I am happy to trade. My jungle's right here, and their jungle, their blue buff spawning. I can hover this left side. I know I'm not going to get ganked because their jungle's going to be on the bottom side 95% of the time. I can take these aggressive autos. I can make a lot more trading. So I'm actually noticing, again, just from watching my gameplay, all it does, I'm a rank 1 player, you know, and I mentioned that because, you know, I like to flex on you guys. I feel like I'm quite good at this game. Mages are champions that I literally have a 60+% win rate on in Sovereign solo queue, and I'm still finding already, just from watching my games in less than 3 minutes, like a very obvious mistake I could improve on. And so that's all I'm going to try to improve on. Again, I'm not going to try to improve on 20 things. Early game, we found auto attacks in lane. I could be taking way more advantage of this. So we're not gonna over focus on this point. This is the one thing I'm going to think about, is just way more auto attacks in lane on mages, more than anything else. in my first 5 minutes. So this is, I'm going to write this down, or I have this written down. I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper so I remember it while I'm streaming. And that's what I'm going to work on just above all else. And this is, again, this is what I do. I'm bored. It's 1:33 a.m. You can see, and I'm just, I couldn't sleep. So I'm like, okay, let me just go randomly think about Wild Rift. This is a good thing if you're like distracted or you need, just whatever to think about. Just randomly focusing on finding some random thing to improve on is pretty good. And then again, now we're going to go into the mid game. Okay, guys, so I was kind of skipping around in some of my VODs. I didn't want to show you guys, all the boring parts. Starting to kind of think of what it is I could maybe work on, and I think this is kind of my first inkling of what it maybe is I could work on in later parts of the game. So here, I'm totally fine with catching this wave, but then as we see here, I end up positioning in a spot that's kind of, very easy to get caught, which I do end up getting caught by this Warwick. And I would say the main reason I get caught in a game like this is because I'm into a single target assassin champion like Warwick, so he's really good at singling out a target, and I'm not grouped with my team there. I go in through the wrong angle because I'm kind of greeting a wave first, and so after I greeted the wave, which I think was fine to greet in this case, I should have gone more directly with my team and kept track of like what spells they had. So I think in this case, when they have these really aggressive comps, I'm not really thinking which champ can kill me, or do I need to be grouped with my team in this situation? Like, my positioning is kind of just poor, and I noticed this in some of my previous situations as well. So I'm kind of just going to start paying attention to my positioning. And again, this is what I do. I'm just figure out, I'll watch some games, watch some whatever back, and then just be like, okay, I'm dying in this situation. Why am I dying? Or maybe I just, look at a certain situation. Why am I not getting a bigger lead here? What could I be doing differently? And then I identify something, and now I look through and I try to see if it's a pattern or if it's something I'm just seeing, that happens because it was like a one-time mistake. So we're kind of going to look through at like the future deaths here, that type of thing, see what we can end up finding. In terms of what we see, just could be improved on. So here our teammate goes kind of a bit far. I don't really mind catching the waves. I think we're playing and fine, everything here. Again, just looking through, mostly paying attention to positioning and fight. So the enemy sneaked Baron here. This was the main issue. If we look back at this situation, I had a brief time where I could have gone and checked. I just assumed this was going to be warded or something. Kind of a weird situation. But I'm more concerned than seeing how we play the fight out. So we end up getting hit by Karma ult plus Misfortune ult. That was, again, kind of a weird situation. So that's not super replicable to me. And that's what I'm looking at, is what is replicable, rather than just, obviously, like, it'd be nice to improve at everything and do everything perfect. But those types of situations are more things where it's like, that was kind of a uniquely weird situation. Not something I'm overly concerned with in terms of positioning. And then we kind of just lose from here. So I would say we saw only one fight really where that happened. We'll see if this fight has anything like that, but I'm pretty sure this fight was just like, yeah, I mean, we were just hoping. We end up getting the Elder, but most of my team's dead. They get Baron and we lose. Here I could have gone straight to Baron instead of recalling first. I thought, I needed to defend waves. Probably should have just tried to zone off the Baron. Realistically, I still end up dying there because Warwick would just ult me, but yeah. Kind of splitting hairs. So really main thing so far that we're looking at, based on the games we found, is I should probably improve in terms of positioning with my team. Positioning like around my team better in fights. We'll see if we see that as kind of a consistent thing that could be improved on in these fights as well. Just looking again, trying to see if there's anything like that that looks like we should have been doing better. In this case, everything's fine. We'll just kind of go to the next time we find if I get caught there. But again, that was just me being greedy, so not something that I'm looking to improve on. Just, don't be greedy in the future is really the main takeaway for me there. Then here, if I'm looking at it, positioning with my team, again, just got to make sure I'm keeping track of the spells. In this case, they don't really have any, spells that are too dangerous. So I think it's all kind of fine there. My team goes forward, and then I steal Baron because why not steal a Baron? Just show you guys that. So again, yeah. So far, we don't see too many big mistakes in terms of positioning. I randomly cleansed here just out of like panic. So I would say again here, the panic with like the cleanse here, I missed my ult too. Again, you guys didn't see that. I cleansed really late here, even though I didn't need to, which again to me is just me not keeping track of spells properly, and not keeping track of what's really dangerous to me as well as I could be, leading to, a death there. Or not a death, a loss of cleanse. It led to a death in the Warwick situation. So I would say I'm currently looking at spell tracking as being my biggest thing. I don't remember actually how I died here. He singed, walks on me, and he just kills me. So again, in that situation, I think if I'm, if I'm like taking into account who's alive, I'm looking, oh, Singed is alive, where is he? I want to try to position with my team, make sure Singed can't kill me. I can probably live that as well. And that is usually some of the bigger issues I have with these mages, is playing into these aggressive comps that can dive onto me really well, like the Singed, for example. And so I'm thinking again, tomorrow, what am I going to do? I'm going to go and I'm going to pick mages every game. I'm going to pick Ori, Ziggs, and Syndra every game. Early game, I'm trying to get as many autos in lane as possible when the enemy waves start cooldowns. I'm trying to get more aggressive, things happening in lane, trying to get that as kind of the main, early game focus. And then when it comes to the later parts of the game, what I'm seeing so far is that my spell tracking and my awareness of what the enemy can actually do to me in fights is sometimes lacking, leading to certain deaths in fights that isn't ideal. And so again, nothing complicated about improving. It's just find a couple things at a time to improve on, and pretty much do that in fights, and be aware of enemy cooldowns, are like which enemies are alive, I guess, of which enemies can actually go on me in fights, and play more with team in fights. So again, simple things. These are going to be the two main things I work on. Also, I just noted that I was making some greedy recalls. That was more of a small thing. I'm going to write these two things down. I'm going to focus on them, and hopefully, again, it has multiple goals. It helps me get better at the game, and it also makes me a little bit less tilted while I'm playing, because I have very specific things to improve on. So that was pretty much it for this video. Just wanted to show you guys a little bit of how I go about improving. Didn't want to edit it too much, so I really show you guys just what I'm looking for. I'm just looking through some replays, seeing what I can find, looking for certain things, certain parts of the game, oftentimes paying attention to deaths or to key timers in the game, team fights, lane phase, these types of things, and just finding a couple small details to improve on at a time. So that's pretty much how I go about improving. If you guys want to make this process kind of easier, DM me on Discord, Talon1169, or through a link in the description, and we can do coaching. It's $25 an hour for coaching. I have plenty of examples on my YouTube channel, so getting coached from a rank 1 player can definitely expedite the process of improvement, but nonetheless, you can do this all on your own as well if you want. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.